Hello there, back again for another video. This one's a little bit different in that it's a little bit of a hobby update, mainly because I'm still not feeling particularly well and I don't fancy being on camera. So this is just going to be my hands, really. I just wanted to kind of give people an update of where I am at the moment with my Middle-earth strategy battle game hobby and what I've been doing. The sort of focus of the last little while has been on, as you can see here, Rohan and some Uruk-hai, so some Isengard stuff. And I've basically been putting together 2 400-point lists so that I can start playing a few more games with my friends and having a bit of fun with a few more models per side, basically. So I thought I'd just go through those, really. The first of the warbands I'm going to talk about, and the one that I finished the quickest, was the Uruk-hai. So in this one I had, and I just need to check their names, I've got Ugluk there, you can see, holding up the head to make sure that meat's back on the menu, I suppose. And we have Lurtz, so this is one of the older models of Lurtz, which I really still like, actually. And they were painted up pretty easily. They were black undercoat with a dry brush of metallics, and then all the leathers and stuff were just built in, a Nuln oil wash over the top of it all, and then highlighting back up. Obviously did the right hand of Saruman on Lurtz's face there, but that was quite cool to bring together. Don't really have that on Ugluk, but maybe I'll go back and do it at some point later. I may even do his grey hair. But they're warband, so that's Lurtz with his shield, as you can see, alongside Ugluk, leading the 2 different warbands. And then Ugluk is in charge of a warband of scouts, and then Lurtz is in charge of a warband of Uruk-hai warriors. And it comes to 395 points in total. So on Lurtz's side we have 15 Uruk-hai warriors with shields. So these are your big hard boys in their armour, sort of Helm's Deep style almost. I went for a slightly brighter colour on the flesh tones for the Uruks because I wanted to try and make them stand out a little bit more from the rest of the armour, because sometimes you see a lot of Uruks and everything kind of just blends together into one, whereas I thought, you know, there's no reason not to make the flesh a little bit lighter so that it stands out a bit more. And the same with the leathers as well. Normally everything is just done with lots of dark colours and then a wash, and that's pretty much it really, but I thought I'd go down a little bit of a different route. Put them on kind of like autumny bases with the leaf cover and scatter, as you can see there, kind of just to make sure that they had a little bit of difference to them and kind of would match with the idea of them being sort of sent to, you know, hunt down Boromir or something in the woods with Lurtz by their side. So that was all the warriors. They were, again, really simple. They were just a dry brush over black, followed by all the other base coats, Nuln oil, and then a highlight up of just a few select areas. I didn't bother re-highlighting the metal and stuff because it basically just kind of did the job, really. So there's 15 of those Uruk-hai warriors with shields, as you can see. And then Ugluk is looking after a band of the scouts, who I have done in the darker leathers, but again with the lighter skin. Now these ones were sort of exercise in speed painting as well, in so much as they were black undercoat, followed by chaos black undercoat, followed by a dry brush of dryad bark, and so dryad bark there, and then a dry brush of Mournfang brown over the top. And then I went in and started doing all the detail work, so I did all the metallics, but I did it kind of haphazardly, as you can see. So I kind of did it as if I was dry brushing on the metallics, and I think it came out really nicely. It obviously, I went back and highlighted up the flesh, but that was the only thing that I did with these ones, mainly because I wanted to try and make them feel dirty and a bit grubby as well. And so they've been put together really nicely, and I actually quite enjoyed working on that set. I think in total it took me maybe 2 evenings or something to paint all of the Uruk-hai scouts, and that warband at 400 points or so came together exceptionally quickly, without much issue. I am going to say that I really don't, I mean, I quite like all the old plastic kits, but there's something about the Uruk-hai swords that is really flimsy. The connection point there is very weak, and if you're dry brushing a little bit too vigorously, you can snap off swords. So bear that in mind when it comes to your Uruk-hai. On the other side of things, I've got the slightly more mammoth task of dealing with the Rohirrim. A lot more of the characters have come to life than previous, though. So this warband is Gamling, who is represented here by his on-foot model, which I've repainted a bit of his red armour there. But I've got Gamling there, who is in charge of 12 Warriors of Rohan. We've got the bows, throwing spears, a warhorn, a banner, and some swords and shields in there. And they're represented by these guys, as you can see. These are the sort of unfinished ones. I'll show you. Oh, right here. So here's one of the finished. I wish I'd got white flowers, because I wanted to do the flowers that grow on the tombs of the dead in Rohan. But yellow was the way forward, apparently. So that's what they'll kind of look like when they're done, kind of going for that sort of movie style look with a lot of these ones, rather than the snowborn look that I tried to go for with some of the other miniatures. But their process is pretty simple. I mean, this one was undercoated in black and then painted up. This one was, these ones were undercoated in Wraithbone, as you can see from the base. And then they've been painted in the same style, basically. This is them after the wash stage, so they haven't been highlighted back up from that. But this guy will get highlights and upgrades to his skin and his cloak and his armor and everything as well. And the shield will make a little bit more poppy as well. So, but I've nearly done. I had lots of the infantry in the blue, but I went back through and wanted to do them all in the green, because I think it just looked a lot better, really. So that's the end of the infantry. Once they're done and based, that'll be all the infantry sort of finished and sorted, which is pretty good. Sorry if I do sniff during this, by the way, but you know, colds and all that. The other big hurdle has been painting the cavalry. And I think I posted a picture of these recently on the community tab, but the cavalry pretty much have now been finished off. So I got over my fear of painting horses. These were, so the process for these is kind of pretty much shown off here, really. So they're undercoated in Wraithbone, and then they get given a contrast of in various colours, as you can see. So I've got white, got a sort of yellow blonde horse, and then a dark brown horse there. And then each of the horses is then dry brushed in an equivalent colour. So it might be Rakkar for the white, it would be Dryad Bark for the brown, and it would be Xandrid Dust for this particular colour. Dusty horses. And then everything else is just picked out on the horses as and when you see it, really. So I go around and do, very simply, do the hooves black, because why not? Paint the leather in, and the sort of green saddle, as well, as you can see, on the saddle rug, effectively. And then the rider, they are actually separate from the horses, so I can remove them if I want to. But they are painted on the horse. I tried to paint them off the horse, sort of just by sticking them onto a pot or something, as you can see, like boop or something. But it was really hard. But instead, what I do is I just stick them on, and I use them basically as a painting stand. The horses become painting stands for my riders, really. But there are so Eowyn is the one who's leading them. So Eowyn is all painted up as well. So this is her mounted version, as you can see there. Looking very nice, done in a very similar method. This is her on-foot version, which is actually an older model, hence why her hair is very golden yellow compared to her mounted version, but I'm not too fussed about that. I think it looks fine either way. So Eowyn is leading that half of the warband, and she's in charge of the riders. So there are 7 riders, 5 of them are regular riders, and then 2 of them have throwing spears. And of course they all come with bows and arrows and swords and all that kind of stuff. And I think I did a pretty good job on the cavalry. I've always been daunted by the idea of doing Rohan, but I think I'm slowly coming around to the fact. And the idea that we're doing sort of painting sessions every week now with my friends and stuff has been really helpful in kind of taking us on that next step towards completing armies. I should have also point out that I had some points left over, so to get to 397, I also just added Meriadoc Brandybuck on his own, on his onesies. So he'll be joining the ranks of the heroes. So it'll have Gamling, Eowyn and Merry on the tabletop. I do have, shall I show off my Theoden? I'll show off my Theoden, so 1 second. There he is. So I also do have Theoden painted, and I have an Eomer as well, but I was really proud of my Theoden in particular, actually. I thought he came out really nicely. And obviously I need to get a mounted version of him to use on the tabletop. Can't have the King of the Rohirrim going everywhere by... Focus, damn you. Can't have the King of the Rohirrim going everywhere by foot. But yeah, so I do have a Theoden in everyone as well, for when I take things up a level. But some of the other elements of the Rohan force then that came together were the... So I had a voucher to spend on the Games Workshop web store because of being part of Warhammer Plus, and so I picked up the Grimbold and his Helmingas, and so I'm using Grimbold's Bannerman as the Bannerman for my little warband, as you can see there. Nice painted up, and they're really weighty in metal as well. That banner took an age to paint, and Helmingas Hornblower as well. I always like a hornblower. I think hornblowers look really cool. And the models are really nice as well. So yeah, got the Helmingas Hornblower built up. I also have Grimbold, obviously. He's not in my 400 point list, but he may get added into my 600 point as I go up to that next level from the Rohirrim. But yeah, so I really enjoyed painting those, and it was really nice to have the old metals to work on. And using some of the other paints that I had lying around, so using that amazing kind of not gold, it's this one, it's Balthazar gold. It's such an awesome gold for painting dark agey looking things, and I think it works really nicely. And it just meant that I didn't have to shell out for the fine cast versions of, you know, the Bannerman and the Hornblower for use in my army on the tabletop. I also had a few more ideas for like another warband, because I'm always thinking of new warbands that I can play. I'm not going to talk about, well, I also have to do dismounts for all of my riders, so I have a few sort of chopped together. They need a bit of cleanup still on them, but I have dismounts for all of my riders to do as well, but they can wait, because the likelihood is most people will just be shooting the riders anyway and taking them out rather than dismounting the steeds. I did have a think about alternative I had some thoughts about other warbands. I'm watching Damien, which weirdly enough kind of inspires these hobby vlogs really. Watching Damien from Battlestream to Middle-earth talk about his Dale army has kind of made me think about doing something Hobbit-themed. And so I was looking at, hopefully you can see this, so it might like a young Thorin army. So the idea would be young Thorin with the Oaken Shield, young Balin and young Dwalin, because I really like that kit. And then just using a bunch of the Warriors of Erebor. So, you know, mixing them up. So you got 15 in the original and then 2 more just randomly added on underneath Dwalin's command there. But, you know, 17 warriors and 3 heroes for a 400.4 sounds pretty good. There's no bows in that one, but, you know, it gives you decent you know, set of models to be playing around with on the tabletop for the Hobbit period, and it wouldn't be too hard to make like an alternate, like a force to go against them, using potentially some of the stuff that exists out there at the moment for Lord of the Rings. I think you could do some really nice stuff with a lot of the like Moran and orcs and things, led by using them as substitutes for Azog's miniatures, rather than having to buy all the fine cast or the resin stuff from Forge World, and then using Azog as the kind of main character for that, and doing the kind of Anul Bazaar, Battle of Anul Bazaar setup. The other idea I've had, and it's one that I'm probably going to focus on instead, sticking with the Lord of the Rings theme and also cuts down on pricing as well, is I have these old Lord of the Rings dwarfs. So I have Balin there, Durin's axe. Look at that black rimmed base. What was I thinking? And then I have the standard bearer, the banner bearer, the horn blower, the musician, and a shield bearer. And they are essentially the heroes for my Balin's expedition army that I've been thinking of, which would be made of those characters that you see there, plus 8 Khazad Guard, and I think it's somewhere in the region of like 15, 16 Dwarven warriors, essentially. So it's the plastic kit for the Dwarven warriors with a couple of bows and mostly hand weapons and shields essentially in there, really. And what I'd do is I'd go back and I'd update these paint schemes. So I'd come back in, because these were done back in the time when I didn't do any highlighting really. So I'd come back and I would tidy these up. So I'd do some more work on the blues, bring the beard out a little bit more, and the facial details on the hands and stuff. Basically bring those to life. You can see it a lot more on these ones. You can see all the marks from the wash that went into these. But I've been trying to find the equivalent blue that I used, which I think ended up being an army painted blue, to be honest. But see if I can find the equivalent Games Workshop blue to highlight these up, and then just basically make a little dwarven force. And then, because I'm a glutton for punishment, that means that I'll start thinking about an alternate, like an opposite force for them, because I have the Rohan going up against the Uruk-hai, but I think it'd be really cool to have goblins going up against the dwarves. So I already have a cave troll sitting around. And I think I have a bunch of Moria goblins. I think I have Durbars or Deburs and some of the Moria goblin characters and stuff lying around. So if I can find those, maybe I'll end up doing a little bit of a goblin force as well to go up against them. But yeah, been really enjoying painting this stuff at the moment. It's been the kind of it's where I've been in the zone at the moment, hobby wise. And it has been really fun working on these Rohan stuff. And if I put my nose to the grindstone and stop feeling so awful, I think hopefully I should be able to finish off this stuff without too much issue, really. And then I'll have 2 warbands, obviously minus the dismounts, but don't worry about those. I can do those at a later point, or when my warriors die, I suppose. But yeah. Once I've got those together, hopefully we'll play some games and have a bit of fun. Well, anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been an interesting little look at my hobby and a sort of look ahead at what I've been doing and that kind of stuff. As I say, really been enjoying the process of bringing all these miniatures to life, and it's been a really nice way to walk down memory lane and think about the hobby that I've been playing recently as well, which is cool. I'm gonna sign off now. But there's no big weird stop button for me to to press. But if you've enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, comment, do all that good stuff. Tell me what you're working on for Middle-earth strategy battle game and how it's been coming together. And there's also a Ko-fi link down below as well if you want to get involved that way and give me a little bit of a donation towards upcoming projects, potentially even some dwarves that I can use to add to my armies and things. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I say I've had really good fun painting Middle-earth, and I hope you folks are all having a little bit of fun as well. yeah, make sure to... I'll put a link down below to Battle Streams in Middle-earth, so you can go and check out their channel, because they do amazing vlogs, and well worth watching, and have it on in the background while you do your painting, which is exactly what I do. And yeah, I'll be back in another video very soon. Bye for now.